You felt it the last time it happened. The need to explain. Someone questioned your choice, your job, your boundary, your silence, and something in you scrambled to justify it. You laid out your reasons. You softened your tone. You went back over it a second time, a third time, certain that if you just found the right words, they would finally understand. They didn't. They never intended to. And when you walked away, you felt smaller. Not because you were wrong, but because you'd spent your energy trying to be approved of by someone who was never going to give it. Here is what the Stoics understood 2,000 years ago. Explaining yourself to the wrong person is surrender. Every reason you offer to someone who has already decided against you is a piece of your power handed over for free. In the next few minutes, I'm going to name the 5 types of people you must never explain yourself to. Learn to recognize them, and you'll save years of energy you've been bleeding without knowing it. Stay to the end, because the 5th type is the one you'll least want to admit is in your life. Some people don't ask questions to learn. They ask to confirm what they've already concluded. You can feel it in the conversation. No matter what you say, the verdict was reached before you opened your mouth. Your explanation isn't being heard. It's being collected as ammunition. Epictetus saw this clearly. It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. When someone has decided you're wrong, every word you add gives them more surface to attack. You explain and they reinterpret. You clarify and they twist it. The conversation isn't a path to understanding. It's a trap with no exit. Picture the family member who has already framed your decision as a mistake. Leaving the secure job, ending the relationship, moving away. You bring facts. They bring the story they've already written. Each reason you offer becomes a new thing for them to argue against. An hour later you're exhausted and they're more certain than ever, because you just gave them an hour of material to work with. The same thing happens at work with the colleague who decided long ago that you're the problem. You walk into the meeting with a clean explanation, and you watch them mine every sentence for proof of what they already believe. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. Their conclusion about you is just an opinion they've mistaken for fact. And no quantity of your words can dislodge a fact someone has stopped questioning." The Stoic recognizes the closed mind early and stops feeding it. The action. When you sense the verdict is already in, stop explaining. Say one clear sentence and let it stand. "I understand you see it differently." Then silence. You cannot reason someone out of a position they didn't reason themselves into. There is a type of person who doesn't want a resolution. They want the fight. The argument is the reward. They feel alive in conflict, and your explanations are simply fuel. Every reason you give extends the thing they're enjoying. You think you're working toward agreement. They're working toward more rounds. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning. You will meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil. He expected these people. He did not let them drain him. The man who refuses to argue isn't weak. He simply knows you can't win a game whose only goal is to keep playing. The strongest move is to leave the board. You know this person. In every group chat there's one who turns a simple comment into a debate, who replies to a clear statement with "well, actually," who needs the last word the way other people need air. The mistake is believing they're confused, and that one more clarification will fix it. They're not confused. They're fed. Each reply you send is another log on a fire they have no intention of letting die. Seneca, who watched men waste their lives on quarrels, wrote, "How much better to heal than seek revenge from injury. Vengeance wastes a lot of time and exposes you to many more injuries than the first that sparked it." The argument lover is offering you exactly that. An endless exposure to injury, dressed up as a discussion. Every round you grant them is time taken from your one short life and burned for nothing. There's a quieter cost too. When you argue with someone who only wants the fight, you take on their state. You walk away agitated, replaying it, carrying their conflict inside you for hours. They handed you their turbulence and you accepted delivery. Marcus Aurelius caught this exact trap and reminded himself, How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? The slight that started it was small. The hours of churning that follow are the real damage, and you do that damage to yourself by staying in the ring. The wise man counts the cost and simply stops paying. The action. When you realize someone wants the argument more than the answer, disengage. Not angrily, calmly. I think we'll have to disagree on this. Then withdraw your energy entirely. A fire with no fuel goes out. This one hides the best. The person who envies you often smiles, asks questions, seems interested in your life. But their interest has a hidden purpose. To find the crack. To shrink what you've built. To feel better by making you feel smaller. When you explain your success, your happiness, your decisions to an envious person, you aren't sharing. You're handing them a map of exactly what they want to undermine. Seneca, who watched envy circle the powerful of Rome his entire life, wrote, "It is the mind that makes us rich. We are wealthy when we are content. The envious are never content. And your contentment is the very thing they cannot stand. Watch how it plays out. You share good news, the promotion, the new relationship, the win you worked years for. The envious person's congratulations arrive a half-second late and a few degrees cold. Then comes the quiet undercut. Must be nice. Well, you got lucky. Don't let it go to your head. They've taken the thing you were proud of and used your own words to chip at it. The more you explain how hard you worked, the more ammunition you've handed them. It's harder still because envy often wears the mask of a friend. Seneca warned about exactly this kind of company. Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve. The process is mutual. The envious offer the opposite of that exchange. They don't want to rise with you. They want you to come down to where they are. Marcus Aurelius gave himself the antidote. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. You don't fight envy. You simply stop feeding it information. You owe them no window into your life. Their envy is their burden, not your debt. The action. With someone you sense envies you, share less. Far less. Keep your wins quiet, your plans private, your peace unexplained. Let your life speak in results they witness, never in reasons you offer. Some people are a vessel with no bottom. No explanation is ever enough. You answer one objection and 3 more appear. You meet one demand and the goalposts quietly move. This is not a misunderstanding you can fix with better words. It is a pattern. The dissatisfaction is theirs. A hunger that lives in them and will never be filled by anything you provide. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "How much trouble he avoids who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does or thinks." You cannot manage another person's endless dissatisfaction. You can only stop pouring yourself into a vessel that will never hold you. You've met this person. The boss who praises nothing and finds fault in everything. You hit the target and the target moves. You stay late and it's never the right late. Or the partner for whom no apology fully closes the matter. No effort is ever quite proof enough. And every old grievance stays on the table to be raised again. The trap is believing the next explanation is the one that finally lands. It never is. There is no final explanation, because the dissatisfaction was never about you. Seneca named the root of it. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. The never satisfied person carries a poverty no amount of your effort can repay. Pour into them for a decade and the vessel still reads empty, because the hole is in them, not in the quality of what you gave. The man who keeps explaining to the never satisfied isn't being patient. He's being slowly emptied. The action. When you notice the goalposts keep moving, stop running after them. Give your honest answer once. If it's not enough, that is information about them, not an invitation to try harder. Stop. Let the emptiness be theirs to carry. Here is the type you'll least want to admit is in your life because they're often close to you. The person who doesn't respect you will never be moved by your explanations, because the problem was never your reasoning. It was their regard for you, and you cannot argue your way into someone's respect. The more you explain, the more you confirm what they already believe. That you need their approval, that you'll work to win them over, that you can be managed. Epictetus said it without flinching. No man is free who is not master of himself. The man who explains himself to someone who disrespects him has handed over the mastery of his own worth. Respect is not negotiated through words. It is set through what you refuse to do. And refusing to explain yourself to someone who has shown you contempt is the clearest signal of self-respect you can send. Notice how often this person is not a stranger but someone you see every week. The relative who talks over you. The old friend who treats your plans as a joke. The partner who dismisses what matters to you with a wave of the hand. The instinct is to explain harder, certain that, if they just understood you better, the respect would follow. It runs backward. Every extra justification tells them their low regard is working, that you'll keep performing for an approval they have no intention of granting. Epictetus also taught, any person capable of angering you becomes your master. He can anger you only when you permit yourself to be disturbed by him. The man you keep explaining yourself to has become exactly that. Your master, holding the verdict on your worth that you keep submitting for review. The way out is not better arguments. It's withdrawing the case entirely. Stop submitting your worth for their approval, and you take the gavel out of their hand. The action. Identify the person in your life who disrespects you and watch how often you try to justify yourself to them. Then stop. Completely. State your position once, if at all, and let it stand. Your silence will tell them more about your worth than 1,000 explanations ever could. So, 5 types of people you must never explain yourself to. The one who's already decided you're wrong. The one who only wants to argue. The one who envies you. The one who will never be satisfied. And the one who simply doesn't respect you. Notice the pattern beneath all 5. In every case, the explanation was never going to work because the barrier was never your reasoning. It was their intention. And no amount of words can fix a closed door, an empty vessel, or a heart that has already turned against you. This is the part that's hard to accept. We keep explaining because we believe people are mostly reasonable, and that clarity will win them over. But the Stoics were realists about human nature. Some minds are closed. Some hungers can't be fed. And the wisdom isn't in trying harder. It's in seeing clearly who you're actually talking to. The Stoics didn't teach you to stop speaking. They taught you to spend your words where they can actually land, and to keep your peace where they can't. If even one of these 5 faces came to mind while you listened, do one quiet thing for yourself. Subscribe, and let this channel be a small daily reminder to guard your energy and build your strength in silence. Practice it this week. The next time the urge to explain rises, pause, and ask which of these 5 you're speaking to. And remember, the man who explains the least is often the one understood the most.